Hello, everybody! Sidwell's desperate plea. A father's anguish forces surrender in General Hospital. Recent episodes of ABC's General Hospital have delivered one of the most emotionally charged storylines of 2025. Centered on the kidnapping of Marco Rios and his father Jen Sidwell's desperate attempts to secure his son's safe return. The escalating war between Sidwell and Sonny Corinthos has reached a devastating climax, forcing the typically calculating villain to make an unprecedented surrender that could reshape the power dynamics of Port Charles forever. The kidnapping that changed everything. The disappearance of Marco Rios sent shockwaves through Port Charles, particularly affecting those closest to him. Lucas Jones, Marco's boyfriend, became increasingly alarmed when Marco failed to appear at his mother Natalia's memorial service and stopped responding to calls and messages. The timing was particularly cruel, as Marco missed the opportunity to say goodbye to his mother, adding emotional torment to an already devastating situation. When Lucas and Carly used a master key to access Marco's empty hotel room at the Metro Court, their worst fears were confirmed. The subsequent revelation showed Marco locked in a warehouse, pounding on doors and screaming for help, with Jason Morgan standing silently on the other side. This image became a haunting symbol of how innocent people become pawns in the dangerous games played by Port Charles's criminal elements. The kidnapping occurred during a period of intense escalation between Sidwell and Sonny, with the fire at Charlie's pub serving as the catalyst. Sonny's daughter Christina had nearly died in that blaze, which many suspected was orchestrated by Sidwell as part of his campaign to pressure Sonny into selling his waterfront properties. The kidnapping represented Sonny's retaliation, sending a clear message that he would not allow attacks on his family to go unanswered. A father's mounting desperation. As hours turned into days, Sidwell's composed facade began to crumble under the weight of paternal anguish. The man who had systematically plotted to take control of Port Charles's criminal underworld found himself completely powerless when it came to his son's safety. His characteristic, calculated demeanor gave way to raw desperation as he realized that all his wealth and influence meant nothing if he couldn't protect the person who mattered most to him. Lucas's decision to involve the Port Charles Police Department added another layer of pressure to an already volatile situation. His meeting with Harrison Chase and aide Justine Turner brought official scrutiny to what had been a private war between two criminal organizations. Turner's insistence that the department treat Marco's disappearance as a potential abduction elevated the stakes considerably, as it meant law enforcement would now be actively investigating Sonny's involvement. The psychological toll on Sidwell became increasingly apparent as he struggled to maintain his various schemes while his son remained missing. His withdrawal of financial support from Measure C represented more than just a tactical retreat. It was the first sign that his priorities were fundamentally shifting. The campaign against Sonny that had once consumed his attention suddenly seemed insignificant compared to his son's well-being. The moment of capitulation. The breaking point came when Sidwell realized that his usual tactics of intimidation and manipulation were useless against an opponent who held his most precious asset. Unlike business negotiations or political maneuvering, this situation required him to abandon his position of strength and approach Sonny as a desperate father rather than a criminal mastiff. The psychological transformation was profound, as viewers witnessed a character who had always maintained control suddenly forced to acknowledge his complete vulnerability. Sidwell's decision to meet with Drew Kane and officially withdraw from their alliance against Sonny marked the beginning of his surrender. When he told them he needed to halt his attacks on Sonny and could no longer provide financial support for their political campaign, it represented a fundamental shift in Port Charles's power structure. His admission that Sonny only won the battle, not the war, revealed both his pain and his recognition that this particular battle had cost him everything that truly mattered. The emotional climax came when Sidwell was forced to directly appeal to Sonny for Marco's release. This moment represented the complete inversion of their relationship, with the man who had spent months trying to destroy Sonny now reduced to begging for mercy. The scene highlighted the fundamental difference between their motivations. While both men were willing to use violence and intimidation to achieve their goals, Sonny's actions were driven by family loyalty, while Sidwell's had been motivated by business ambition. The price of peace. Sidwell's ultimate promise to leave Port Charles and never return represented the total abandonment of everything he had worked to achieve. His sophisticated plans to control the waterfront, his political maneuvering with Measure C, and his broader ambitions to establish himself as the city's new power broker were all sacrificed on the altar of paternal love. This decision highlighted the stark reality that even the most ruthless individuals have vulnerabilities that can be exploited by those willing to cross certain moral lines. The agreement also revealed the complex moral landscape of General Hospital, where viewers are forced to sympathize with characters who have committed terrible acts. Sidwell's willingness to abandon his empire for his son's safety humanized a character who had been portrayed primarily as a calculating antagonist. Similarly, Sonny's use of an innocent man as leverage demonstrated the moral compromises that define life in Port Charles's criminal underworld. The resolution of Marco's kidnapping has far-reaching implications for multiple storylines currently unfolding in Port Charles. Sidwell's withdrawal from the political arena leaves Drew Kane scrambling to find alternative funding for Measure C, potentially derailing his plans to challenge Sonny's control of the waterfront. The power vacuum created by Sidwell's departure also opens opportunities for other criminal organizations to expand their influence, setting the stage for future conflicts. For Lucas and Marco, the trauma of the kidnapping will likely have lasting effects on their relationship and their sense of security in Port Charles. The experience has demonstrated how quickly innocent people can become casualties in the ongoing wars between criminal organizations, highlighting the pervasive danger that exists beneath the city's surface glamour. Next, we will delve into the heart-pounding spoilers for the week of July 21st to 25th, where explosive secrets threaten to derail Willow Tate and Drew Kane's ill-fated wedding in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. As the residents of Port Charles gear up for what could be one of the most regrettable unions in soap history, ABC General Hospital spoilers hint at a cascade of truth bombs ready to detonate right on the brink of Willow Tate and Drew Kane exchanging their vows. This mismatched pair, often dubbed Drillo by skeptical fans, is barreling toward a ceremony that no one seems eager to witness, fraught with undercurrents of deception and regret. Will they actually make it to the altar and seal their fates with I do? Or will a long-buried scandal erupt, shattering their romance into irreparable pieces? Inventing a layer of intrigue, picture the wedding venue transformed into a lavish affair at the Quartermain Mansion, complete with cascading floral arches of red roses symbolizing hidden passions and a string quartet playing haunting melodies that foreshadow impending doom, perhaps even a cameo from young Rocco Falconeri as a ring-bearer, his innocent presence contrasting the adult betrayals unfolding around him. The build-up to this event has been laced with tension, as Willow clings to the hope that marrying Drew will stabilize her chaotic life, while Drew navigates his political ambitions amid whispers of his indiscretions, setting the stage for a week where loyalties are tested and alliances fracture in spectacular ways. Central to the drama, spoilers tease that a key figure will finally expose the steamy affair between Drew Kane and Willow's own mother, Nina Reeves, potentially halting the nuptials in their tracks. Nina has attempted to come clean multiple times, her conscience wrestling with guilt during hushed conversations at Crimson Magazine or late-night reflections in her penthouse. But the confession has always stalled on her lips, choked by fear of irreversible damage. The latest weekly preview from the ABC soap drops tantalizing clues that this revelation is imminent. But the identity of the truth-teller remains a delicious mystery. Could it be the steadfast Curtis Ashford, or will Nina muster the courage to intervene? Adding inventive shocks, envision a scenario where the affair's evidence surfaces through a misplaced smartphone recording discovered by an unlikely ally like Professor Henry Hank Dalton, whose intellectual curiosity leads him to analyze the clip during a university lecture on ethics, inadvertently tipping off Curtis and amplifying the scandal's reach into academic circles of Port Charles. Fans got their first inkling of Curtis Ashford's brewing resolve during the episodes airing July 14th to 18th, where subtle hints suggested he was contemplating a full exposure of Drew's betrayal. In a charged exchange with Nina last week, Curtis's expressions betrayed the mental gears grinding away as he dissected the affair's implications over a tense coffee at Kelly's diner. His words laced with veiled warnings about the consequences of secrets in their tight-knit community. This moment planted seeds of anticipation, showing Curtis as a man torn between friendship and moral duty, especially after Drew's own shady maneuvers in past power plays. Expanding creatively, perhaps Curtis's pondering stems from a private investigation he conducted using his pie skills, uncovering hotel receipts and eyewitness accounts from a discreet rendezvous spot on the outskirts of town, fueling his determination to protect those he cares about from further heartache. The promo for July 21st to 25th ramps up the suspense with a pivotal clip of Curtis confiding in his wife, Portia Robinson, declaring with fierce conviction, "I'm going to fight to save you, even if it means betraying a friend." This line underscores Curtis's internal conflict, hinting at how the affair's ripple effects could endanger his own family dynamics, perhaps tying into Portia's medical career where professional ethics clash with personal vendettas. The teaser escalates further with footage of Curtis boldly entering Willow's bridal suite, where she's primping in front of a gilded mirror, her reflection revealing a mix of bridal nerves and underlying doubts, maybe adjusting an heirloom necklace passed down from her adoptive family, symbolizing the tangled web of her heritage. Inventing new dramatic elements, what if Curtis arrives armed with a folder of proof, including time-stamped photos from a hidden camera at the Metro Court, ready to lay it all bare in a confrontation that echoes the intensity of classic soap showdowns, potentially drawing in Rocco Falconeri as an accidental witness who overhears the chaos and adds a child's perspective to the adult turmoil. However, General Hospital is notorious for its clever misdirections in previews, so viewers should note another compelling clip that shifts the spotlight. As the video unfolds, Nina appears in her elegant wedding attire, poised before the ceremony, her face a storm of fury as she confronts Ava Jerome, exclaiming that she can no longer stand idly by and allow this farce to continue. This outburst suggests Nina's breaking point, especially if Drew provokes her with a smug remark or a dismissive glance during pre-wedding preparations, pushing her over the edge like the final crack in a fragile dam. Delving deeper with fresh twists, imagine Nina's rage fueled by a flashback montage of her own romantic failures, including her tumultuous history with Sonny Corinthos, motivating her to storm the bridal suite herself, perhaps enlisting Ava's reluctant help in a scheme involving a decoy distraction, like a faux emergency call from Professor Henry Hank Dalton about a fabricated academic crisis to buy time for the confession. Wrapping up the preview on a cliffhanger note, little Scout Quartermain is seen gracefully walking down the aisle, scattering petals with childlike innocence, while Drew beams from the altar, but strikingly, there's no sign of Willow trailing behind her. This omission sparks wild speculation. Will Willow, upon learning the truth, transform into a classic runaway bride, fleeing the venue in a stolen limo toward the Port Charles docks, her gown billowing in the wind? Or does she muster the strength to march down that aisle, only to unleash a public confrontation at the altar, exposing Drew's deceit before a stunned congregation? The question of who delivers the fatal Blanino with her maternal desperation or Curtis with his principled resolve hangs in the balance, promising a week of unforgettable twists that could redefine relationships across the board. Next, we will unravel the simmering tensions in Curtis Ashford's world, where late-night encounters with his ex-wife Jordan Ashford could ignite a family firestorm, especially if Aunt Stella Henry gets involved. Whispers are swirling through the shadowy corners of Port Charles as ABC General Hospital spoilers highlight Curtis Ashford's secretive after-hours meetings with his former spouse, Jordan Ashford, prompting speculation about whether his perceptive aunt, Stella Henry, has caught on to the budding drama. These clandestine gatherings, often unfolding in dimly lit spots like the back booth at Charlie's Pub under the guise of professional collaboration, have fans buzzing about potential romantic sparks that never fully extinguished. With Curtis's union to Portia Robinson teetering on the edge due to her persistent deceptions ranging from hidden agendas in her medical practice to subtle omissions that erode trust, these reunions with Jordan feel like a magnetic pull back to familiar territory. Inventing a fresh twist to heighten the intrigue, imagine if one such meeting coincides with a surprise visit from young Rocco Falconeri, who stumbles upon them while delivering a message from Dante, his innocent eyes widening at the charged atmosphere and unknowingly planting seeds of gossip that could reach Stella's ears through the Falconeri family grapevine. At the heart of this turmoil lies the undeniable undercurrent of romance between Curtis and Jordan, a flame that seems to flicker brighter with each encounter. Even if their official purpose is to devise countermeasures against the cunning machinations of Jens Sidwell and his international web of threats. Those lingering looks across a table cluttered with maps and encrypted files speak volumes of their shared history, evoking memories of passionate days gone by amid the high-stakes world of law enforcement and personal betrayals. Portia's own manipulative tactics, such as her pointed jabs at Jordan during hospital shift changes to assert her claim on Curtis, have only served to drive him further into these comforting strategy sessions where old affections resurface like forgotten treasures. Stella, with her legendary intuition honed from years of navigating family crises, has a track record of unearthing hidden truths. Much like her role in past scandals involving the Ashford lineage-adding inventive depth, perhaps she's been confiding in Professor Henry Hank Dalton during community events, where his analytical mind helps her piece together subtle clues from Curtis's evasive behavior, blending intellectual discourse with familial sleuthing. Should Stella uncover these covert hangouts, the big question looms: will she launch a direct confrontation to safeguard her nephew's crumbling household, or opt for discreet silence in hopes of preserving the fragile peace? Known for her no-nonsense approach, Stella might weigh the risks, especially considering how Portia's web of half-truths has already strained the marriage to its breaking point, pushing Curtis toward Jordan's steady presence. Her protective instincts could compel her to intervene, at the very least to shield her great-niece Trina Robinson from the fallout. Envisioning a scenario where Trina's budding art career gets entangled in the emotional debris. Expanding creatively, picture Stella spotting Curtis and Jordan during a late-night stroll near the university, where Professor Henry Hank Dalton is hosting a lecture on ethical dilemmas. And she uses the moment to reflect on her own past regrets, deciding whether to pull Curtis aside for a whispered warning or let the chips fall where they may. As Portia battles to salvage her relationship with Curtis, employing everything from romantic gestures like surprise dinners at the Metro Court to desperate pleas for forgiveness, Stella's talent for detecting discord might prompt her to probe deeper into the situation. These rendezvous with Jordan could strain Stella's allegiances within the family, torn between supporting Portia's efforts to rebuild and acknowledging the authentic connection Curtis shares with his ex. A potential candid conversation between Stella and Curtis might unfold in her cozy living room, surrounded by family photos that chronicle their shared history, where she encourages him to either rededicate himself to his vows or openly address his lingering emotions for Jordan. Inventing new elements, what if Rocco Falconeri overhears snippets of this talk while visiting Trina? His youthful curiosity leading him to question the adults and inadvertently accelerating the drama, tying into broader themes of intergenerational secrets in Port Charles. Ultimately, if Stella is already privy to these developments, her sage advice is likely to steer Curtis toward the path that minimizes heartbreak, particularly with a young adult like Trina in the equation, whose stability hangs in the balance amid her own life transitions. This isn't the carefree era of 2023 anymore, where impulsive choices could be easily undone. Now, every decision carries weightier consequences in the evolving landscape of family ties. Stella's guidance might emphasize reconciliation with Portia, urging Curtis to confront the lies head-on. Or it could reluctantly endorse exploring his true feelings for Jordan if that's where his heart truly leads, perhaps drawing from her own experiences with love and loss to offer a balanced perspective that resonates deeply. The fanbase is sharply divided on this unfolding saga, with some passionately rooting for Curtis to dissolve his marriage and reignite his passion with Jordan, envisioning steamy reunions that echo their glory days, while others decry it as a profound disloyalty that undermines the sanctity of his commitment to Portia. Regardless of the stance, there's universal consensus on the palpable chemistry between Curtis and Jordan, a spark that crackles like electricity in every shared scene, making their interactions must-watch television. This shared acknowledgement creates the core conflict, as viewers debate the ethics of second chances versus steadfast vows in the comment sections and online forums. How Stella navigates these rekindled embers from the past will be pivotal, though she already suspects the late-night liaisons And if so, will she blow the whistle to preserve Curtis's family unit? Or allow his emotions to chart their own course? True to form, Stella is expected to assert her viewpoint on what's best, drawing on her wisdom to influence the outcome. The lingering mystery is what direction she advocates, a renewed bond with Portia or a bold return to Jordan. As the plot thickens, one thing's certain: this triangle is primed for explosive revelations that could reshape alliances across Port Charles.